Hey, how's it going, guys? It's Nate here. And so are rideable unicorns, a strange staff, and magical undead dogs, as per the latest update of everybody's favorite, totally non-controversial marketplace, Skyrim's Creation Club. That's right, just yesterday, or perhaps the day before, depending on when this video goes live, Bethesda released its third wave this year of content onto the Elder Scrolls V CC store. Altogether, 3 new mods, or creations, or whatever the kids are calling them these days dropped, priced between 2 and 500 credits. And personally, I wasn't very surprised in either direction, if you will. I wasn't blown away by the quality, but I also didn't feel very disappointed by it either. I'm almost neutral. I think some of what is being offered is reasonable, at least, but I still struggle to find value when there's just such a wealth of mods available that offer many of the same things or comparable experiences the Creation Club is selling for free. But nonetheless, I have spent quite a few hours messing around with everything and bought all the items, and thought we'd spend a day going over each of the new releases, so you can decide if you'd like to make a similar decision as well. Anyway, without further ado, let's do further. Now, we're gonna go into this in ascending order, from lowest to highest price creation. So the first mod I wanted to take a look at is the Bone Wolf. For 200 Bethesda bucks, or roughly $2, you can purchase the Bone Wolf release, which introduces a new, undead wolf-like follower to Skyrim. Now, players of the Elder Scrolls III Morrowind may already recognize these skeletal canines, as they were enemies that appeared in the Blood Moon expansion, but evidently now, they're potential allies. However, before you can obtain one of these little fellas for yourself, you'll first have to complete the associated quest. That'll begin once you open up a letter that will automatically be added into your inventory whenever you load up a game. The letter will be from Bolgir Bearclaw, Housecarl to Solitude's Jarl Elisif. It calls for your aid in defeating a necromancer, who's been attacking civilians nearby the city's coast, alongside what Bearclaw calls strange creatures that do the wizard's every bidding. After reading the note, you'll be given a quest marker directing you to a location off the shores of Hjalmarch's river in order to confront this mysterious villain. Once you arrive, you'll find an unnamed, very hostile Dunmer necromancer at his workstation in a small cave, with 2 bone wolves at his side, that will also attack the player. Nearby will be a cage with another skeletal pup inside. More on him later. Once the necromancer and his 2 servants are dead, you'll find a journal on his inventory, which describes how through experimentation, he discovered a method to turn undead wolves into his loyal companions, by feeding them objects he called totems. Also in his inventory will be an extra totem and key to the cage that the other bone wolf we mentioned earlier is inside. You can probably see where this is all going from here. Simply unlock the cage and interact with the dog while the totem is in your inventory, and the pup will become your follower, completing the quest. Now, like so many other companions the Creation Club has given us for Skyrim, the Bone Wolf doesn't really do anything productive, aside from look pretty cool and carry some of your things. Despite being a wolf, an animal known for murdering things to death, he won't actually aid you in combat. That's right, you could be getting wailed on by a dozen bandits, and your dog will pretty much just look at you funny. This is a pet, not a shield brother. Though while the Bone Wolf won't deal any damage, he also won't take it either. Enemies will straight up ignore the undead animal, and even if you try and take a swing or 2 at him, it'll have no effect. I don't really understand why Bethesda made such a decision, to make these companions effectively uninterested in combat. Other dogs such as Miko and the ones you can purchase in Markarth will fight at your side. So why not this one? Is Bethesda having issues with the AI packages or something? This just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. It is, however, worth noting that when the pup is in your company, the player will do increased damage to undead enemies. So if you're hunting vampires or clearing dungeons of Draugr, there is some practical usage here. I will say, the unique model and texture are very impressive, and that's really what you're paying for here. I myself would probably avoid something like this, though I almost never use companions or followers unless I absolutely have to. So if you're someone who enjoys their company, for only $2, this is a fairly reasonable purchase, I suppose. That said, in an ecosystem where mods are a thing, with companions like Inigo, I'm not so sure the Bone Wolves really hold up all that well. The next creation we're gonna dive into is the Staff of Hasdaki. I hope I didn't mispronounce that. It'll set you back 250 credits, or $2.50. Much like the Bone Wolves we just covered, the Staff of Hasdaki actually already made an appearance in the Elder Scrolls III Morrowind, where it could be acquired from an orcish sorcerer after the player defeated him in a battle. According to legend, the staff once belonged to a powerful wizard, who bounded his own soul to the item. In the Elder Scrolls 3, the object would allow the player to resist magicka for about 30 seconds, though in Skyrim, its enchantment and abilities have been considerably overhauled for the better, though we'll touch upon that shortly. In order to acquire the staff, you'll first have to complete the ensuing quest, that'll automatically begin as soon as you load up a game. You'll be given an objective marker to confront a small band of bandits just behind Whiterun, who have secretly been trading in some black market items. Once defeated, you'll find a note which details what these deviants have been up to. Evidently, the raiders have been smuggling contraband back and forth for quite some time all around Tamriel, and making a killing doing it. Recently, a strange orc came by looking for a staff they sold. The bandits pointed the man in the right direction, but the note mentions their plans to ambush the poor man further down the road, as he was carrying a cart filled with valuables they really wanted. Your next objective marker will take you to the site of this ambush, where, much to my surprise, you'll find a number of dead bandits and an orc named Modig Gilgar standing over them. Apparently, their little ambush failed miserably. When approached, Gilgar will unfortunately become hostile, and you'll have to defeat him in order for the quest to progress. Now, that name, Modig Gilgar, it may sound a bit recognizable to some, as in Morrowind, the orc you had to kill to acquire the Staff of Hasdaki was named Kafadu Gilgar. The two are related. Now, on Modig's body won't actually be the staff we're looking for, but instead a letter, which states it's currently in the possession of some necromancers in Brittleshin Pass, likely where the man was heading. To complete the quest, simply go to Brittleshin yourself, defeat the necromancers, and on one of their bodies will be the Staff of Hasdaki. Pick it up and it'll be yours, and the quest will finally be completed. The staff itself boasts a unique model and texture, based on its appearance in Morrowind, and honestly I think it looks pretty neat. But, as mentioned, it does quite a bit more than just protect you from magicka damage like it did in the Elder Scrolls 3. You see, when fired at someone, the staff will humorously cause characters to be knocked back and ragdoll. The distance in which NPCs are thrown will vary. Sometimes they'll just fall back a few feet, other times they'll be flung meters into the air. While the staff itself won't actually harm people, enemies will often be wounded as a result of accompanying fall damage. Furthermore, if a foe is killed within 60 seconds of being hit by the staff, they'll fill a soul gem. But that's still not all. When you're not actively attacking anyone with the item, Hasdoki will create a ward, or magical shield in front of the player, that protects you for up to 40 points of magicka damage. I suppose this is meant to emulate the effects of the Morrowind version of the weapon. Now, saying this item is a little overpowered would definitely be a bit of an understatement. But to be honest, I found it to be an absolute joy to use for a little while. I'm not entirely convinced this staff is going to become a regular part of my inventory or anything, and to be honest, I can't imagine it'll be like many of the toys I got as a kid, where I play with it for a few hours and then it ends up at the bottom of my toy box, not to be used again very often. But the staff was a lot of fun, and I can easily see myself pulling it out every now and then to creatively knock some foes off cliffs and whatnot. All this praise aside, I'm still a little bit hesitant to fully recommend this item. There are literally hundreds upon hundreds of weapons in the base game, not to mention thousands of potential ones you can download via mods. So it does get a little hard to justify paying $2.50 for a single one, especially when you take into account that you can't just buy 250 credits on the Creation Club marketplace. You have to buy at minimum 750 at once, which I suppose makes the choice a lot easier. If you've got the spare 250 credits sitting in your account, then I would absolutely recommend you use them on this object. It's easily my favorite weapon to come out of the Creation Club thus far, but otherwise, I wouldn't recommend you do anything. And finally, the last creation to drop yesterday is titled Wild Horses. For 500 credits, or about $5, Wild Horses adds in 7 new horses for the player to find and tame, as well as a variety of other horse-based content, if you will. To get started, simply load up a game and you'll be given an objective to meet with the stable master over in Windhelm. Once there, you can purchase a map of the horses' locations and a journal that describes each of them from him. You'll then be able to head over to each of the 7 listed locations, wander around a little bit until you find the unique horse in the area, and proceed to tame it. Horse taming is another new feature coming with the add-on, though it's not nearly as complex as some variations of the system we've seen in other games. Essentially, all you need to do to tame a steed is simply jump on it and stay on it while it bucks, though I use that word loosely until it stops. Really, all it's doing is jumping on its hind legs for a couple seconds and jumping down. You don't need to press any buttons or really pay much attention. Just hop on, wait for it to stop bucking, and the horse is yours. Now, sometimes you will fall off while the mount is resisting. If that happens, simply jump back on and resume the process. They may try and gallop away, but considering your sprint speed is faster than their non-sprinting gallop, you should be able to catch them pretty easily. Once tamed, the horse will become yours for keeps, and you can take them to a stable in order to change their name from Wild Horse to something random. I'm serious, you can't actually give your horse a custom name, but speaking to a stable master, you can have it changed from Wild Horse to a randomly generated horse name. So if you were excited to name your steed something like Horsey McHorseface, you're gonna be in for disappointment. Not sure why that is, but I assume the reason is technical. Furthermore, the mod adds in more than just 7 different mounts, as you'll also have a chance to find the unique unicorn as well. You might remember this from the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion. The unicorn will behave just like a normal horse, but it has a horn and is white. I personally found mine in Riften, though I'm not sure if its location is entirely random. On top of all this, you'll also be able to head to a stable and pick one of 4 saddle types, if any, to put on your horse. There's an Imperial-themed saddle, a Stormcloak one, a pure white one, and a default brown saddle for the player to choose from. Interestingly, this add-on was actually supposed to be released back in August with the last wave of creations that went live, but was postponed to solve some mechanical issues. Like pretty much everything else we've touched upon today, I found the creation fun, but am unsure if it's worth 500 credits in a world where mods are a thing. If this existed in an isolated marketplace, I think it would be much easier to give this mod my seal of approval, if you will. So maybe if you're on a PlayStation 4, this has a lot more appeal. But you can get just about everything this mod offers, new horse types, custom saddles, and unicorns, all for free of just about equal quality over on the Nexus. Even then, this mod is 500 credits, or about $5, the same price as the Hearthfire DLC, which definitely did a lot more. And in fairness, I think Hearthfire was priced very reasonably, but still, the value here remains questionable. If you're somebody who really likes horseback riding, especially if you play on the PlayStation 4, then you might really appreciate all of the options this makes available. Otherwise, you almost certainly will not notice it, and this creation probably isn't gonna reinvigorate your interest in horseback riding. Altogether, I think this most recent wave of Creation Club releases was pretty much standard. It met my, admittedly low, expectations with some incremental improvements. I felt like a lot of effort went into the staff of Hasdoki's accompanying quest, what with the references to Morrowind and trying to actually craft a narrative. Although without voice actors, that was clearly difficult. Likewise, while I still struggle to find the actual value of it, the Wild Horses add-on was pretty big, at least for the scale of Creation Club content. In my own opinion, I think what would be best for the Creation Club if it's going to continue, would be to bundle a bunch of different weapons and items together and release those as packages, and then cut prices in other areas. Though, I've been giving this same advice literally for over a year since it first started, so I'm assuming something's keeping Bethesda from making that decision. Maybe they just don't find it very financially viable. Whatever the case, that's where we're gonna wrap up for today. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. What are your own thoughts on this most recent wave of creations, and the Creation Club as a whole? I think most people view the Creation Club in a rather negative light, so what are your own thoughts on how it can improve and hopefully get a little bit better from here moving forward? As always, like ratings are very much appreciated. Again, thanks for watching, and I hope to catch you all in my next video. Peace out, everyone.